Reading and writing is the most essential part of our life. It allows us to communicate and connect directly with people who created the literary text. Stories are all about communication. Literary criticism is also important when diving right into reading the literary text. What is biographical approach? Before we begin, let us take a look at its brief history. The French critic Roland Barthes announced the death of the author in the year 1968, which this approach has lost its appeal to the scholars. As we have already know the history or origin of biographical approach, let us now discuss it. Biographical approach has something to do with analyzing a writer's biography to show the relationship between the author's life and their works of literature. Doing biographical analysis carefully examine the incidents and the lines of authors, and to identify it accordingly to the relevant topics that can be found in novels and the historical sources, such as the events, settings, objects, people, and etc. Another literary criticism is the formalistic literary approach. It is often referred to as the scientific approach to literature, and examining the text by its organic form. This approach is all about the essential information for interpretation of a piece of literature that must be found with the work. The primary goal for formalistic critics is to determine how elements work together with the text contents to shape its effect upon the readers. What does the mean of the birth of the readers is at the cost of the death of the author? The famous quote of Roland Barthes, "For me it has meaningful passages between the author and reader's perspective and by means of the whole quote." The death of the author notion means that the meaning is not something retrieved or discovered, but rather something spontaneously generated in the process of reading the text. We are almost through with it. And finally, what is the significance of learning literary criticism in the present context? Even in today's context, literature was still present in different ways of medium. Literary text is not just all about reading, but we must look for different perspectives, different angles, and different views from different aspects of literary text. Literary criticism helps us readers to develop our critical thinking skills, and it takes us to a high-level dimension of evaluating and synthesizing into the original piece of writing. It may seem to take out the fun out of the literature, but when you really came to appreciate the literary criticism, it helps enrich the literature and to appreciate it more richly and deeply about the work.